Hello and welcome to Classroom Management. So, in this section, we're going to learn all about how you can manage your classroom, as you have probably already guessed. And it's always good to sort of start with being honest with yourself, because this tends to be a subject that a lot of new teachers get really nervous about. I know that I was when I first started, and it was a really scary experience. So I'm going to share some tips and tricks with ways that I found to manage my classroom that have made it much easier for me, and that will make it easier for you as well. Our lesson will be divided into two major sections. So number one will be behavior management. We'll look at online versus offline teaching in the beginning. Then we're going to look at how to create a very energetic classroom, and of course, difficult students and how you can deal with them with different learning strategies. And then in the second section, we're going to take a look at time management, which will be very important for you to get your classes down within the space of allotted time that you have to complete your class. And we're going to talk about how to manage your time both in and outside of your classroom with your teaching responsibilities, such as doing things like feedback once you've completed your classes. So, without further ado, let's take a look at behavior management, because you don't want to end up like this teacher here. So let's see some strategies to help you out a bit. So you might already have some experience teaching offline, possibly even online as well. But let's take a look at the differences between the two classrooms. So of course, with your offline classes, you are very familiar with the fact that you can change your learning environment, you have lots of control, you can rearrange the desks, you can give your students worksheets or take things away as they're playing with them. Whereas online, we don't have any access to doing that at all. Reliability is another one. So in the offline class, your school is constant. You will always have your school there, save an earthquake happens and your school falls into the ground. If the student goes to school on a weekday, the school will be there, they will get their lessons. However, for us, and this is going to come up with technology issues as well, that tends to be an issue. So our reliability can be variable, and our technology issues, unfortunately, they are a little bit common. So it is important to find ways around those sort of problems that can occur very often. And then personal contact. Now, when I started off online teaching, I was very, very nervous about building rapport with my students if I had no personal contact with them. I thought somehow that having a screen between us would mean that it felt very robotic and very awkward. So personal contact is one of the things that we're going to talk about a lot over the course of classroom management in creating an energetic classroom. But of course, you're probably going to find it a bit nerve-wracking in the beginning, because you can't stop them from playing with something by taking it away from them. You can't necessarily sit down eye to eye with them. You can't be in the same space. So that is definitely a drawback, in the beginning at least, for our online-offline class comparison. There are, of course, many things that make online classes, however, amazing, and that's why they exist in the first place. So, especially in China, class sizes are enormous. Even for elementary school kids, you're going to get classes upwards of maybe 50 kids at times. So, having a one-on-one personal tutoring session is a really valuable experience for these kids. And in terms of convenience, it's not just convenient for the parents being able to not have to bring them to another class and ferry them around the city, but also for the student, who often has a very packed schedule and has sometimes upwards of 10 classes outside of their regular school classes to go to and attend each week. So having the ability to conveniently work these online classes into their daily life is simply extraordinary. Same for comfort as well. A lot of students tend to be nervous, more shy, especially in situations where there's peer pressure. They might not perform to their best ability, but you can't really beat having the comfort of having a class in your own home, sitting on your sofa, sitting at your desk in your room. So we offer a level of comfort that helps the students get out of their shell as well. And finally, with accessibility, offline classes tend to vary in accessibility. A lot of the time, students are lucky and they can still walk to school. They're very close to it. However, you will get students who don't necessarily have access to English classes and private English tutoring that we offer now online. So having accessibility that is very flexible with our online classes is really great. And not only that, but just having this really, really flexible schedule where maybe they're doing things during the week and they don't necessarily have a stable place where they can have their class. I've had a student before who I started teaching at a bus stop, and then she got on the bus and then she finished class at her home. And I'm of a generation that grew up with the internet and all of this wonderful Wi-Fi access, and that still blows my mind that I'm able to have a class in 3 different locations on the move like that. And that is simply the pinnacle of why our online classes are such a great success at this point.